Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Gottemoeller, you referenced the national security strategy. Were you surprised that it doesn't make more notice of the nuclear threat that we're facing, not just from Russia and China, but also from Iran and North Korea?
Well, ma'am, I really read the national security strategy as being very much focused on regional defense issues, and you can see how it's structured with the focus on the various regions. And so I was a bit surprised, given the President's stated interest in this matter, that they did not cover it a bit more. He did talk on several occasions in the national security strategy about restoring strategic stability with Russia. And so I take that to mean that there is a continuing interest in the Oval Office in moving forward with nuclear negotiations with Russia. But at this time, I must say that they're not yet focusing in their stated documents very much on the nuclear questions. We do have, in addition to the national security strategy, a national defense strategy coming out soon. Perhaps that will say more. Mr. Billingslea is quite right. There's not been a nuclear posture review yet. So I think we just have to see these documents now being prepared and roll out for further details.
You've both negotiated directly with Russia. You've spoken out in support of Ukraine. What do you think the implications are for the nuclear arms race if Russia's allowed to be successful in taking significant territory in Ukraine and not being forced to pay any price, any accountability for what he's done? Mr. Billingslea?
I think we're at a very dangerous inflection point, particularly with regard to the matter of extended deterrence. So the United States has long offered its nuclear umbrella to our allies and our allies. And that's been very, very important to our NATO alliance. It's also been very, very important to our Asian allies. And I think it's essential that we continue to afford that extended deterrent guarantee in order to assure our allies and dissuade them from feeling that they need to move forward with acquisition of their own nuclear capabilities. I'm following the discussion in Poland very, very closely. I find some of what's being said very worrisome. I do not believe in the concept of friendly proliferation. I think that that is inevitably going to lead to the elimination of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is a treaty that is in our national interest, in my view, the elimination of the IAEA and the collapse of the safeguards regime, and it will make it much, much harder to constrain countries like Iran if we allow these concerns among allies to then precipitate the acquisition of nuclear weapons. So for this reason, I believe that we ought to, for instance, create a warhead storage area in Poland. We ought to bring Poland into the burden-sharing agreements and provide them with F-35s to join the NATO Nuclear Capability Club as a way of showing them that they are protected and that our umbrella will continue to watch over them. I think a similar argument can be made with regard to a warhead storage area in South Korea. So these are very complicated matters, but I would very much urge that we continue to emphasize the value of extended deterrence within our alliances.
And Secretary Gottemoeller, do you agree with that? And is there not a connection between allowing Ukraine to or forcing Ukraine to have to give up much of its territory, its ambitions to join NATO, EU, in any negotiated settlement, and the connection to what happens with the nuclear arms race?
Senator Shaheen, I have really long felt that our nuclear negotiations should exist in a realm where we focus on nuclear negotiations in our national interest and think about them in that way. During the period of the Cold War, we had many, many disagreements with the USSR, but still continued to pursue nuclear negotiations in our national interest. So I'd like to state I think they should not be linked together. That's my opinion, but let me state my opinion on what is happening with negotiations in Ukraine. I've been very concerned that there could be some de jure requirement that Ukraine give up its eastern provinces, and I do not believe that that is in anybody's interest. first and foremost the Ukrainians, but it sets a terrible precedent for the future of response to aggression around the world. And I think we need to be clear-eyed about that. Now, de facto, there may be some period of time when Ukraine must see its eastern provinces and Crimea not entirely under its control. But I think about this again with the history of World War II before us, and the Federal Republic of Germany was separated from its eastern provinces for a number of decades until the end of the Cold War, and Germany was reunited. So I think about those precedents when I think about where Ukraine is today, and I do hope and believe that there can be a fair and equitable outcome for Ukraine, including there can be resources laid down for its reconstruction, because it has been suffering from this terrible aggression now for 4 years.
Thank you. Thank you both.